I first started contacting Henley, the global leader in diversified residency and citizenship, several years ago when political turmoil began to creep up. And I reestablished contact just recently. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And Oscar, you've got to step up. First of all, Oscar, welcome to the webinar and to our clients. And it's great to have you today, and we look forward to your presentation.
There we go. I think I'm all queued
Yep,
up.
I can hear you good.
Perfect, Leonard. Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak a little bit about Henley Partners as well as the industry. Of course, from that last slide, it looks like a lot of your recommendations kind of align with our business. While you're helping clients on the financial side, of course, if you're looking to take a prolonged vacation. Sometimes residency comes into play. As U.S. citizens, of course, we have quite a bit of visa-free access throughout the globe. Typically, that's 90 days that you can spend in Europe or in the Caribbean or Latin America. But for extended periods of time, it gets a little tricky at that point. And I'll touch on some of these programs here in the future slides. But again, Oscar Barbadillo, I'm actually based in Dallas, and Henley actually just expanded to the Texas market, so I'll be leading our efforts here. As Leonard had mentioned, we're a global firm. We started roughly 25 years ago. We established the initial concept of residence and citizenship in the late 90s. We pioneered the first program with St. Kitts, which still remains active and popular with U.S. clients looking to establish a quick path to citizenship and some international banking. To support our other programs, we actually have 40 offices worldwide. And over the last 25 years, we've actually deployed over $12 billion in investments to different countries and programs. So very successful. We're the leader in the industry. Something that we do that sets us apart is we have physical locations everywhere we support a program. So we have folks in country that speak the language, relationships with attorney and governments to help facilitate a smooth process for our clients. Just very quickly, this is our global presence where we have offices. Of course, our headquarters is in Switzerland, but we recently established a headquarters here in the U.S. in Miami. And then throughout the U.S., we've opened up 5 additional offices just because of the demand from U.S. citizens. In short, the investment migration industry, Leonard, as you said, money talks. This is a way for you to place an investment and make a significant contribution to the economy of another country. And as a thank you, they're going to reward you with either the option of a residency or a direct path to citizenship. Now that varies based on country. Part of our process is we sit with advisors like Leonard and our clients to kind of figure out a plan, what makes the most sense for your family, both short and long term. I know with a lot of the political turmoil, some clients are even obtaining up to 2 citizenships. For example, the Caribbean programs can be completed in 6 to 9 months, so you can have a passport in hand while you work on a more long-term solution. Let's say you want to retire in Europe for better lifestyle and cost of living. Those programs traditionally take 5 to 10 years, so we can work both at the same time. Just to clarify, depending, I know the most common vernacular is golden visas. And I know some folks always ask about the nomad visas. I think those are a little geared towards young professionals and college students. But for folks that can afford to make a contribution or an investment within the borders, residency is a great option. Portugal still remains the most popular program for US citizens. By obtaining residency in Portugal, you have the right to live, work, travel within the country, although it does usually come with some conditions. So for example, typically you have to maintain your investment for the duration of the residency, as well as concurrent or subsequent renewal, excuse me. So one thing is it can be withdrawn. So that's the main difference between residency and citizenship. So citizenship, once you obtain it, it's for life. It's a great benefit. It's something you can pass on to future generations. So this is something you work into your family and estate planning. And the biggest thing that we saw during COVID, having a second citizenship and a second passport in hand, it frees up travel for you. The U.S. passport was heavily restricted during that time. So for folks that, let's say, for example, had a Portuguese passport, you still had the right to exit the U.S. and enter Portugal. So if you were looking to escape just lockdowns in general, or you had business abroad that you needed to take care of, you had additional mobility. I know I touched on some of these, but quality of life is a big one for our clients that are looking to relocate or spend a significant time outside of the U.S. For our international business clients, security is a big concern. Sometimes it's not the most popular thing to be traveling as an American, so you can travel under your second citizenship. That way, customs doesn't identify you as American, and you can conduct your business as well. Excuse me. Again, I touched on education for those with younger families. You can plan to enter the European Union through several programs that would grant you access to their education system, as well as subsidized education at the college level for your kids. So great savings there if you're looking to do some additional planning. I know we touched on visa waivers and mobility, privacy and security. The last box there, tax planning and expatriation. To be perfectly honest, 99% of our clients never plan to permanently relocate out of the US. It's purely a plan B or just having additional mobility. So you can spend, let's say you love Italy, we establish a residency for you. You can spend 6, 7, 8 months there without the hassle of having to reapply or exit the country to re-enter under the US visa. In the few cases that folks are looking to exit the US and renounce citizenship, we do have a tax advisory group that can work with you. But again, those are far and few. I think most of us want to continue our ties to the US. Excuse me.
I know I do.
Right?
Yeah.
And Leonard, I'm trying to match your energy here. So if I'm dropping the ball or going a little boring.
Oscar, you're doing fabulous. Really.
All right. I'm going to share some quick highlights on mobile trends. 2022 was a banner year for the industry. We relocated over $20 billion industry-wide, not just Henley Partners. And the industry is continuing to grow. There's over 100 countries offering some sort of program that will reward you with residency or citizenship. Although you'll see that the core 30 we're going to do on the following slides here is where most of the migration is going. Just wanted to notate kind of how the industry has picked up in the last decade. We've over doubled the number of cases that have been completed. And these are high net worth individuals that are relocating from both emerging markets like India that traditionally have a very low quality passport with a lot of restrictions, to also US citizens and citizens of the UK and Europe that are just looking for optionality. Of course, the US still remains a powerhouse for net inflows. A lot of folks are still looking to relocate here. But as you can see, Portugal is starting to catch up. It's becoming very popular, and most of that traffic is coming from the US. And a new one to the field is Australia. And the reason being, it doesn't have an investment requirement. This is for young professionals, PhDs, or in highly specified fields. They call it the global talent. They're just trying to bring young talent into their industry. So if you have young children completing college and they're looking to relocate, this is a great option with a nominal amount as far as processing and government fees. Where folks are leaving, I think no surprise. But I think this might even mirror some of your charts, Leonard. But as you can see, anywhere where there's some economic or conflicts, there's a lot of movement, and most of that's coming to the US and to Europe. As we discussed earlier, the impact of COVID, as you can see there in the middle, the US passport, typically very strong. You can access over 187 countries visa-free. Literally, you can just book your flight, show up, and you'll be welcomed by customs. During COVID, that was reduced to 61 countries where you could travel to with restrictions. So a second passport would open that up for you considerably. And just to see how it's trending, the U.S. traditionally hasn't been a big player as far as outbound migration, but since COVID, we went from the number 6 spot in the middle of the pack there to now leading as the most applications submitted and inquiries to Henley. Excuse me. Globally, this is just a quick snapshot of the programs available. So just depending on your clients and where they prefer to locate, whether it's a matter of geography or climate or just political preference, I'm sure we have a program that we can recommend for them. The bulk being in Europe. Of course, America, the United States still continues to lead in applications, and the Caribbean comes in as a close second for the Americas. Now for US clients, these are the most popular programs. Spain, very popular. It has a real estate option, very low barrier to entry, 500,000 euros. You're not restricted to the type of real estate, so you can invest in personal property for yourself, commercial real estate, as well as a private equity fund for development. Processing time still remains fairly low for clients. We're seeing approvals in 3 to 4 months. So you can potentially have a residency card in Spain before the end of the year. Portugal continues to lead. The reason being it has a low physical presence requirement. They only ask that you spend 7 days a year in Portugal. And then after completing a 5-year residency period, you can apply for citizenship. So as far as costs go, it's very cost efficient, low physical presence requirement. And for those really seeking a plan B, it's something nice to have on the back burner and working. For those that may have a more accelerated timeline, Malta has a specialized program. It is a member of the EU. You would make a considerable contribution to the government. Typically, a family of 4 is $1.2 to $4 million, and you're also required to establish a domicile in the country. The benefit of this program, though, is expedited citizenship. You can obtain citizenship and a passport in roughly 14 to 15 months. So that's going to be the quickest route for those that want citizenship within the EU. And I'll leave it to you, sir. I know I kind of went through that fairly quickly, but I was hoping you can provide some insights on what your clients are asking.
Oscar, super introduction. Maybe I'll start the questions, and then I'm going to open the floor to questions for everybody. We've got a couple that have come in on portfolio questions, and we'll open it up now. We're about 15 minutes of Q&A. We scheduled 1:30 as our stop time, and we're about 1:15 right now. What is the process, Oscar, that people go through? And then you all act as consultants to help. I guess we also are in the picture because we're helping clients do financial planning on it and making sure and maybe discussing with them if it's an investment opportunity that they are investing in. Look at that and help understand that. Maybe you could talk about that, the difference between just paying or investing and how that works. Presumably an investment means they get the money back at some point or they have to maintain it. And then what are the services that you all provide? Presumably you help on the legal side and on the government side. Little discussion like that, sort of meat and potatoes, how to
Sure.
with you guys.
Absolutely. So yeah, we are a full service firm. So think of it as a concierge service, what your clients might be used to on the private banking side. We internally conduct an initial due diligence on anyone that we are going to do business with, just really to identify any potential red flags that might cause a delay in it once we submit an application. At that point, once the client is vetted, we would work with you. For example, in Portugal, there are 12 funds that we have vetted, mostly private equity, and they range in investments from hotel development all the way to tech and AI. So just kind of we would invite you on the call to speak to the different fund managers, review the prospectus, and then you can advise your clients kind of based on the information presented, what kind of best fits their financial plan. Once a fund is selected, we have a relationship manager that's local to that country, and we actually provide full physical representation. So we would have an affidavit, we would file court documents for you, assist you with translation of any financial documents, birth certificates, passports, in order to submit your package to the government. And then we facilitate it all the way through to approval. Portugal, for example, at 2 and 4 years, there's a renewal. So that's included in our services. When 2 years comes up, we'll sit with you, resubmit the application. The biggest one we get is make sure our clients haven't liquidated. That's usually the only time we run into an issue. But yeah, in Portugal, we have 100% success rate. In our other countries, the only time we've ever run into a declined application is something that might come up on the background side. So whether that's litigation or some sort of criminal history that might pop up. But for the most part, yeah, we guide you through that entire process. And then added to that, there's additional services. Again, I think I had touched on tax advisory. So if they're looking to really relocate, maybe move a portion of their business, we can provide some guidance on the tax implications. Of course, as US citizens, we get taxed globally, but a lot of the countries have tax treaties, so you can avoid double taxation. We have education services as well. We hired educators and deans of schools, so they're fully on staff. So if you're looking family planning wise, we can help you get into schools. If we can do testing for services, aptitude testing, and put your kids on a plan to make sure that they can get into the best schools. And I'm sorry if I missed something there on the process.
No, all that's very good. So if somebody said, okay, I want to go for the thing in Portugal, the program in Portugal, presumably we would help our client make a meeting with you. We would have a meeting. You guys would put together a proposal, and then the client would approve the proposal, and then you guys would move forward.
That's it. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. One question coming in, is Aruba a destination that has a program?
Currently, it does not. In the Caribbean, we have Grenada, Antigua, St. Kitts, and Dominica. And out of those 4 programs, you can obtain a citizenship in as little as 6 to 9 months.
And so what does that get you if you have a citizenship in these Caribbean countries?
So
why would you obtain citizenship in the Caribbean?
Sure. Have firsthand knowledge a couple different clients this year. I have one client who has a nice sailboat, and he's looking to relocate it down to the islands. So it's just convenient for them to have citizenship, so they're not limited on the amount of time they can spend on the island. I have another client that is looking to establish some banking relationships in St. Kitts. And as a citizen of that country, it's a little bit easier to navigate the banking system than as a US citizen. They still follow all the laws, they still do all the reporting, they still note that you're a US citizen. It's just easier for them on the compliance end when they're dealing with a citizen of their own nation. Also, if for whatever reason, the US passport, I know, I hate to fearmonger, but in the next couple months, let's say our passport gets restricted in Eastern Europe for some reason, and you need to conduct travel there, well, you can simply travel under your Caribbean passport. During COVID, being such small islands with small populations, they didn't face the same restrictions as we did. They didn't have the same number of cases, so they were able to freely travel throughout the world.
Yeah, and presumably in an initial meeting, if one of our clients says, I'm interested in this, if you all felt like, well, they really weren't a good candidate because through the consulting and discussion, you would let them know, and we'd say, well, let's not pursue this.
Absolutely. And we take a holistic approach, and we really want to see what your total goals are. So there's a lot of clients that come in and they're dead set on the Caribbean because they saw it online, but realistically, that they don't have the sense of urgency to get something done, and really for retirement, they're looking at Europe. So we might pivot to a product that's a better fit.
Oscar, thank you so much for your time and presentation today. I really, really appreciate it, and we'll have more to say about this area, and we'll see as the political situation moves forward. It's really, pretty unpredictable at this time, and our goal is simply to try to add some value for our clients and make sure that they have options should they want them. And I've been impressed with all of our communications, and can't imagine that there's anyone we'd want to put our clients, whose hands I'd want to put our clients into other than yours, if they have an interest in alternative residency or alternative citizenship. So thanks so much for joining us today. I'm going to take a few questions in the few minutes we have left that have come in that are focused on portfolio type questions. So thanks, Oscar.